Good morning. I've spent many, many years of my adult life being a teacher of the faith, trying to bring what I understand, what I've studied, what I've been taught, what I've learned about God to others. And honestly, it's the most satisfying way I could ever have spent my life. I never thought I'd be a teacher. Nothing about it appealed to me until God called me to a community that allowed me to learn more about myself as well in the process. One of the things that's critical when you learn to teach the faith is that you don't just teach your version of the faith. Yes, what you teach has your fingerprints on it because it's being processed through the human being doing the teaching. But you don't have the liberty, I don't have the liberty of teaching what I think the church teaches. That is up to each one of the listeners to be able to grapple with God in their journey, their personal spiritual journey. One of the things that you learn through this process, there is a book, a reference book, a directory of catechesis, and I've talked about this before. And one of the first chapters in this directory talks about the characteristics of the American culture. Because if you're going to be teaching in America, you need to understand the culture in order to be able to adapt the message to the people you are teaching. And one of the things it says about Americans, about people in the Western Hemisphere, okay, there's 7 qualities, and we've talked about them before, and they're fascinating because they're the air we breathe, so we don't even pay attention to them. It's just the way we are. But one of them always strikes me is that Americans seek to be productive, that the work that we do has to bear a result, a fruit. There needs to be a functionality to what we do. Yes, we're creative. Yes, we're dreamers, but not first. First, it's about practical application of everything we learn. And that can be a challenge in the spiritual life. I was listening to something the other day talking about when Isaiah prophesied that Jesus was coming. Jesus, the Savior. Isaiah the prophet was telling the people about the coming of the promised Messiah 700 years before Jesus was born. And before that, when the Jewish people were slaves in Egypt, they prayed for a Messiah as well. Thousands of years, the prayers of the people of God had been lifted up, asking for a Messiah. And it's not that God was deaf, right? God knew when the Messiah should come. When should this representation of God walk among the people? When would Jesus be born? Thousands and thousands of years, thousands and thousands of people praying for the Messiah. What does that say to you and me about the immense patience of God, waiting until the time is right? In our life, in our spiritual journey, our experience of the divine, the temptation of all of the practices that we engage in is that they would be productive, that they would bear fruit, that they would be functional in our lives. And we juxtapose that to the immense patience of a loving God. And then we say, maybe we need to take a deep breath, put our trust in this God in whom we believe, whom we love, and allow the slow, mysterious work of God to take place. Quit trying to push God into action. We need to allow this loving God to work at God's own pace. Take a deep breath and know that all will be well. We are in God's care.